बिल्लाहि मिनश शैतानिर रजीम बिस्मिल्लाहिर रहमानिर रहीम रब्बि इश्रह ली सदरी व यस्सिर ली अमरी वहलुल उक़दतम मिन लिसानी यफ़क़हू क़ौली. I'd like to welcome you all by saying Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May the peace and blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be on you all. Now the topic that we are discussing today is Islam and Science, Chapter 2. We talked about Islam and Science last week as well. And just to give you a recap of what we talked about briefly, we first of all discussed that the Holy Quran is the only form of divine guidance available to mankind today. It has been kept intact in its original language of Arabic, word for word, letter for letter, for 14 centuries now, without any human intervention whatsoever in any of its texts. This in itself is a great miracle for which the Quran stands today. No other book has been preserved in this manner. And you might ask, why is that so? The reason is that Allah Ta'ala Himself has taken it upon Himself to protect His book, as He has mentioned in the Holy Quran in Surah Al-Hijr, chapter 15, verse 9. Verily we have sent down the reminder, and verily we will always be preserving it. Now, we know that the topic that we have been discussing last week and the topic that we will discuss today is Islam and Science, but it's important to note that this Holy Quran is not an encyclopedia of science. It is in fact a complete code of life. It is the Furqan, as it has been mentioned by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is the criteria to judge right from wrong, and it is the ultimate yardstick which is more superior to any scientific knowledge. So, given the fact that it has scientific facts within it, that is not the criteria. The main thing that this Quran stands for is the difference between right and wrong, and how it is a complete code of life for us. It is also a book of signs, S-I-G-N-S, or ayats, or proofs from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, where He has told us again and again to look around us and observe all of these miracles and all of these proofs that He has provided for us, and see for ourselves and try to recognize in these proofs the Creator. And once we recognize the Creator, we'll recognize that this book is also from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and it is the only divine revelation available to man now. There are no less than 6,000 ayats mentioned in the Holy Quran, out of which 1,000 pertain to the subject of science. Now, last week we talked about some of them, and this week we'll discuss a few more. And at this point I'd like to also narrate an anecdote, or what you can say an experiment that was conducted by a scientist. It's a slightly humorous one, where a scientist basically locked up 10 monkeys in a room, and in the room he hung a bunch of bananas to the ceiling, and he put a ladder in the middle. And as soon as he put the monkeys in that room, naturally the monkeys went for the bananas. Now the scientist had a slightly evil mind. What he started doing was, he had a water hose which was filled with ice cold water, and as soon as the first monkey went for the bananas, he sprayed not only the monkey but also the other monkeys that were sitting around him. Then another monkey tried to go for the bananas, and he again did the same thing. He sprayed all the monkeys, the one who was going for the banana and the others around him, with that ice cold water. This kept on happening 4 or 5 times before the monkeys realized that every time we try to go for the bananas, we are sprayed with ice cold water. So then when the next monkey tried to go for the bananas, all the monkeys gathered up and they started beating him. That since you go and get the bananas, we all get punished for it. Now what the evil scientist did, he replaced one of the old monkeys, he took him out of the room and put a new monkey in that room. Now what that new monkey did was, he came inside and naturally he saw that there were bananas hanging from the ceiling. There was a very nice ladder in the middle of the room, easy access to the bananas, yet all the monkeys were busy doing other things and nobody was actually going for the bananas. So the new monkey ventured up the ladder in order to get the bananas, and guess what happened? All the monkeys attacked that monkey and started beating him, until that monkey realized that it is a complete no-no to go for the bananas. Similarly, the scientist again took out one of the old monkeys and put another new monkey in that room. Now we have 2 new monkeys and 8 old monkeys. Now the new monkey that just came inside, he again wanted to go for the bananas, and the same story happened to him. As soon as he tried to go for the bananas, all the other monkeys ganged up against him, including the new monkey that had previously come in, and they all started beating him up that no, do not do this, because once you do this, something terrible happens to all of us. Now this experiment kept on happening until a time came when all the old monkeys had been replaced by new monkeys. And yet, what the scientists observed was that even now when a new monkey was introduced, all the other monkeys who were present at that time started beating the new monkey up without any reason or logic. And even knowing the fact that now the water hose had long gone, the scientists had stopped hosing all the monkeys, and even then the monkeys still beat up every new monkey that came. The important lesson to learn from this experiment is that we follow our forefathers blindly. It is human nature, as displayed by the monkeys as well, that it is our nature as humans to follow our forefathers blindly without questioning, without reasoning, or without researching on our own. Just like any new monkey who actually came into that room, all the other monkeys who had not actually seen the ice cold water or experienced that sensation still beat up any new monkey that came. In the same way, there are obstacles within mankind that prevent us from researching and that prevent us from getting to the truth, the absolute truth. This is not just true in Islam. We know that a lot of Muslims do not research the Holy Quran. They do not want to. They just follow blindly what's actually happening and what has been happening before. But it's also true for all the other religions as well. That people do not question their beliefs. They do not question. They do not find it important enough to actually research their entire lifestyle and in the entire teachings of their forefathers. In the Holy Quran, we have been openly asked to research and dive into science and see how we can come closer to our Creator by observing the miracles around us. It mentions in Surah Muhammad chapter 47 verse 24, do they not carefully consider and investigate the Quran, or are there locks upon their hearts? It further mentions in Surah An-Nisa chapter 4 verse 82, do they not consider the Quran? Had it been from any other than God, they would surely have found therein much discrepancy. So a scientific approach has been encouraged in the Holy Quran with the objective to confirm the truthfulness of this holy book. It also provides mankind with a chance to verify the authenticity of this book and ultimately to reach the Creator of mankind, of jinn and of all the universe. Now in last week's discussion we talked about two main things. The first one was the universe, where we talked about the Big Bang Theory, we talked about the concept of an expanding universe, we talked about the creation of stars and planets. Then we also talked about our own selves. We talked about the human development in the form of an embryo, we talked about our bones and our skins. Today, the focus of our discussion will be around a verse from the Holy Quran, from Surah Al-Baqarah chapter 2 verse 164, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions, in the creation of the heavens and the earth, the alternation of night and day, the ships that roam the ocean for the benefit of the people, the water that Allah sends down from the sky to revive dead land and to spread in it all kinds of creatures, the varying directions of the winds, and the clouds that are placed between the sky and the earth. There are sufficient signs for people who understand. Now in this verse, there are 6 points that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is pointing us to. Number 1, the creation of the heavens and earth. Number 2, the alternation of night and day. Number 3, the oceans. Number 4, water from the sky that creates life on earth. Number 5, the direction of winds. Number 6, the clouds that are formed between the sky and the earth. Now before we go into these things, I'd like to also, there are so many things that one could possibly talk about within science. I'd just like to start off by giving you small examples of little coincidences of science, as they say, or great cosmological coincidence within science which we can observe and figure out for ourselves whether these are in fact coincidences or these are signs from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala which He has already guided us in the Holy Quran. Let's take an example of an eclipse, the solar eclipse.